Hey there, Dr. Lisa Faast here, and I got a great question today. One that really hits home in terms of my passion for independent pharmacies is the question I got was, do you think it's still a good idea to own an independent pharmacy? I know a lot of people are considering tapping out. Times have been tough. We still got about 3 more months as the time that I'm recording this of the DIR fee apocalypse and kind of the cash flow strangulation that we're all going through. And so it has certainly have been a rough road in independent pharmacy ownership. But to answer the question, is it still a good idea to own independent pharmacies? I unequivocally say yes. And I put my money where my mouth is. I own pharmacies. I own 2 pharmacies. Always on the lookout for some more, out there. But the reason I say that is it's a good idea if you're willing to do things different. New pharmacy owners actually have a huge advantage over people who've owned pharmacies or been in independent pharmacy for a very long time. Those of you that have been owned a pharmacy or been in pharmacy for a long time, you're kind of stuck in your ways. Sorry to tell you. You're just used to doing things a certain way. You're used to ordering from a certain place, and it's just, you kind of get stuck in a rut, and it's really hard to change habits. Changing habits is one of the hardest things you can do. But in pharmacy, our industry has completely changed. It no longer makes sense to have that primary wholesaler where you order 99.9% of your drugs. It no longer makes sense to play the rebate game. It's just things that used to be the best way to do business are now the best way to fail in pharmacy. So new pharmacy owners actually do much better at pharmacy ownership because they don't have all that history baggage, that they're bringing into this new pharmacy. They're able to adopt new strategies. They're able to look at their pharmacies differently. They prioritize monetizing their websites, and, they sell a bunch of money through their websites. They order differently, and they have control of their cash. They don't struggle with the cash flow that the older pharmacies do. And so, yes, it's absolutely a good idea to own an independent pharmacy as long as you're willing to run your pharmacy like it needs to be ran in 2024. You can't run it like it was in 1999. That is a surefire way to fail. And that is because cash flow is the #1 problem, followed closely by profitability. It used to be, pharmacy has always been, since really the PBMs kind of took over and the big buying groups and the big wholesalers took over, pharmacy has been a very cash poor business. And what do I mean by that? I mean cash flow poor. We have to pay for drugs. If behind me, if those shelves were drugs, you have to pay for all of those bottles for them to sit on your shelf and collect dust, and hopefully you dispense them. So you're changing your cash into drug stock long before an insurance is paying for you for that prescription for that patient. And so, and even back in the day, some of you remember, there used to be 30, 60, 90 days. There are still some out there, but most insurances used to pay, take months to pay. And so pharmacy has always been very cash poor. It's been a slow cash flow pharmacy type of business. However, what has changed is the profitability side. There used to be enough profit in pharmacy that we could kind of handle that negative cash flow. You could handle that poor cash flow because you made so much profit when the transactions came in. But nowadays, year after year after year, those profit margins have been dwindling. And now somewhere between 10 to 16% for the average retail pharmacy prescriptions are actually negative margin. So not only are you negative cash flow, but you're also negative profit. And that is why pharmacies are closing, is because you can't have both of those negative. One of those has to be positive in order for you to have a chance. And ideally, you want them both to be positive. And so that's why I talk a lot about running your pharmacy differently. And so new pharmacy owners, they have it easier because it's not actually different for them. It's the only way they know. Whereas if you're a pharmacy owner and you've owned it for 20, 30 years, it can feel very weird not chasing the rebate, not playing that game anymore. You get addicted to that $30,000 rebate check that comes in. But what you don't realize is if you hadn't ordered from that primary, you ordered from the secondary, you would have had an extra 50 grand and you would have had it, before waiting to get the check back. And so, yes, I do think owning an independent pharmacy, there are people out there, some of our members are just killing it. And I mean, they are serving their patients awesomely. They're making profits. They're giving bonuses to their employees. They're sleeping well at night. They're taking vacations. They're hiring pharmacists. all the work-life balance kinds of things that you're looking for. And they're doing it in today's environment. And that's just because they've taken a leap of faith, and it is a little scary when you start doing things differently, but there's definitely ways to survive an independent pharmacy, not just on the dispensing side. There's all kinds of opportunities on dispensing and non-dispensing sides. And you really have to be taking care and going after both sides of that coin to be successful. So yes, I do think it's worth owning an independent pharmacy now. I do it myself. I'm in the trenches with you guys, as a pharmacy owner, and dealing with employees, dealing with patients, dealing with contracts, all those kinds of things. And so that's my answer to that question. Hopefully it kind of gave you some insight. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can submit questions at drlisafaast.com. And if you think this information was helpful, please share it with other pharmacy owners, and maybe they can get some insight and get some help that they need. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.